Justin Trudeau is a known hypocrite. Justin Trudeau is personally responsible for literally funding part of Russia by giving them oil and wind turbines and things like that. Pierre Poilievre calls out his hypocrisy, and Justin Trudeau can't handle it. He snaps. He literally starts yelling and throwing his arms around. It's absolutely hilarious. It's also an embarrassment to Canada, but it's hilarious. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage everyone to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. We are a pinch hair of away from 100,000 subscribers on this channel. And once you're subscribed, there's a little bell icon that shows up. I'd highly recommend hitting that bell icon. So it's post notifications. It just adds a layer of insurance to make sure that you can actually be notified of upcoming videos, but more importantly, of live streams. We stream Crush and Period here on this channel every single day live when it happens, and the last one had almost 10,000 concurrent viewers. Absolutely awesome to see this much interest in Crush and Period, in what our politicians are saying. So I'm gonna get out of the way. I'm gonna shut up now, and I hope you enjoy this clip as much as I do. Here we go. I like the way they clap, though. It's got a very feminine charm.
$60 million Arrive scam is just the tip of the iceberg. We now learn that there are $5 million in additional fraud that has been identified by the Department of Public Procurement. And this is out of the $21 billion the Prime Minister is now spending on outside consultants, a 100% increase, and fully with the support of the NDP. Can the Prime Minister tell us how much of this $21 billion is fraud?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The situation is obviously unacceptable, which is why authorities are looking into this procurement process. Anyone who took advantage of our COVID response to save Canadian lives should face consequence. All federal contracts with these companies have been suspended as the investigation continues. But everyone in this House noticed how quickly he pivoted from a question on Ukraine. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, his members are ashamed of him for forcing him to vote against Ukrainian Canadians.
He feels very strongly about Ukraine. Maybe he should move there. I wonder if he feels the same about Israel.
Order. 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 And I ask all members to please order. I'd like to remind the Prime Minister, please, to make sure that questions and comments are directed through the Chair. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister demonstrates once again he is a fake and he is a phony. Because he has...
Wow.
It's a fake and
Uh-oh, he's in trouble for that one.
I'm going to remind the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is a very experienced member of Parliament, and I know that he would understand that kind of a statement that directed to an individual would not be considered parliamentary. So I'll ask the honourable member to...
Do it again and get kicked out, Pierre. Do it. Do it for the people.
The Prime Minister is a fake and a phony on this issue, just like on everything else. He sends...
Pierre! He's going to get himself kicked out. Absolutely insane. Folks, drop some W's in the chat for Pierre. This is monumental. He is doubling down, calling him a fake and a phony. That breaches parliamentary privilege. You're not allowed to do that. They're consulting. He's going to do it again, or he's got a trick up his sleeve. This is awesome. Totally awesome. I know it's like super nerdy. It's like, say fake and phony again. But no, if he gets kicked out, incredible. He's making him sit down. It's just going to add more fuel to the fire of how corrupt this shit is.
The honourable member, again, is a very experienced member, and he knows that when the Speaker asks him to chastise us a little bit for the use of language which is not considered parliamentary, I'd ask him please to rephrase, to withdraw those comments, rephrase the question without using those words.
from the
Mr. Speaker, this is a prime minister who authorized the export of gas turbines to pump gas from Putin's economy into Europe to fund the war. He's someone who signed on to allow Russian detonators to blow up Ukrainians on the battlefield, and he's a pro-Russia energy policy to fund the Russian economy. We'll take no less.
Thought maybe he had another WTF moment up his sleeve. Still a W. Still a W for Pierre in the chat, folks.
The right honourable.
Let's see if we can get a W train going.
That is pretty weak sauce from the leader of the opposition. The reality is, President Zelensky.
Flashback to 2005.
I see that the opposition House leader is asking members to be
Did he
calm.
really
I'm gonna
just say
ask
weak
all
sauce?
House leaders to please ask all of your members from all sides to be calm. So, and I'll ask in particular the member from Dufferin-Caledon, please, to hold on until he has the time to speak. So, the Honourable Prime Minister, please.
Mr. Speaker, the leader of the opposition is flailing in every way he can to try and divert the attention from the fact that his members voted against a request by President Zelensky himself to support a Canada-Ukraine free trade deal. The reality is his constituents across the country feel betrayed by the Conservative Party voting against Ukraine.
How do you feel about Israel? Or, I don't know, Canada, Trudeau? Seems like you're more passionate about Ukraine than you are Canada.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The Ukrainians asked for us to give missiles that Conservatives support to Ukraine, not to give turbines and detonators to Russia, which is what he has done. He has failed Ukrainians abroad, and he's failed Canadians at home. Canadians are good and decent people. They don't have to live this way. They do not have to give up the things they used to take for granted, like affordable food and homes, all for the incompetence and ego of one man. He is not worth the cost or the corruption. Will he call a carbon tax election so Canadians can decide?
Oh my God. Folks, drop some W's! Pierre is cooking today.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, notice how desperate he is to try and find any excuse he can to justify their voting against Ukraine. Suddenly, he's not talking about the price on pollution that Ukraine put in itself years ago. He's not using that as an excuse, even though that was all we heard as the justification for why they voted against Ukraine, voted against Ukrainian Canadians, voted against the reconstruction of Ukraine that we are committed to through a free trade agreement. He stood in this House and voted against Ukraine and is now trying to do anything he can to hide from it. He let down Ukraine, and that showed who he is.
Wow. He almost fell